Hello, I'm Ryan Gallik.
And I'm Michael Stahl.
And we're co-founders of the Mental Hygiene Project.
What we'd like to do for you today is share a story with you about a gentleman who experienced all 4 phases of the Mental Hygiene Project stress continuum. Now, because of the fact that he lived in the 1800s, he wasn't even aware that he was going through these stages. So what we'd like to do first is have Ryan explain to you all 4 of the phases and exactly what it means for you and your life.
As you can see, there are 4 areas that one may feel as they go through the stress continuum: green, yellow, orange, and red. The green area expresses healthy and common functioning. When in a healthy zone, this is qualified by having a persistent feeling of happiness, self-worth, well-being, and appreciation. You're focusing on sleep hygiene, nutrition, and being socially engaged, and all things in being resilient. As you move through the stress continuum, you may become reacting, which is focused on the yellow zone. Here is when you may begin feeling some of the weight of the adversities that people can have been faced with throughout life. This could be marked by an increased sadness, trouble sleeping, and difficulty relaxing. The good news is that this is common and reversible stress. As one may continue on through the stress continuum, we must remember not to ignore our feelings. Lean into your feelings rather than lean back. The last 2 zones are orange and red. The orange section means that you may be experiencing significant functional impairment. This can have one feeling that they're having trouble sleeping or staying asleep, lingering sadness, or even feeling angry. As we reach the red section, this is known as severe and persistent functional impairment. This may include, but is not limited to, constant fatigue, high levels of stress and anxiety, significant disturbances in thinking, suicidal thoughts, and/or behaviors.
Thank you, Ryan. That's a great description of the 4 phases. So let's go all the way back to 1863. There was a gentleman that had a very successful sugarcane plantation, and yet in the middle of the American Civil War, he was forced to leave his land. He couldn't come back until the end of the war in 1865, and when he did, everything was utterly destroyed. All of the crops were gone, his land was parched, and he had gone from being a very successful, prestigious plantation owner to being utterly destitute, living hand to mouth. This gentleman was definitely in phase 4 that Ryan just described. He was experiencing full-on depression, and yet one day as he was walking around the remains of his once fantastic homestead, he found some Mexican pepper plants that had reseeded themselves. Well, he decided to grind some of these up and add it to his dull diet. And over the next couple of years, he experimented with a lot of different ways to make sauces. Well, after a couple of years, he got to the point where he decided maybe somebody might want to try his sauce. So he started bottling it. It became an absolute sensation. He couldn't keep up with the demand. He had to hire workers to bottle his newfound sauce. And that was the advent of what we know today as Tabasco sauce. The gentleman's name, of course, was Edmund McIlhenny. And to this day, more than 150 years later, the McIlhenny Tabasco Sauce Company still operates out of Avery Island, Louisiana, and it sends Tabasco sauce to 195 different countries and packages its products in 25 different languages. So that just goes to show that there is always hope. No matter how hopeless something might seem, you can always find opportunity in crisis. While we're dealing with the worldwide coronavirus threat, we want to make sure that we focus on what we can do, not on what we can't do, Focus on the controllables and let the uncontrollables go, just like Edmund McElhenney.
What an amazing story. As I heard that story, I saw him withstand, recover, and grow in his crisis. Remember, it is not weak to speak. Resources are available. Reach out to a friend, a loved one, or even the resources your employer provides to you. The resources that we're going to name today: the Employee Assistance Program, the Disaster Distress Hotline, and even the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Stay well and be safe. This is Ryan Gallik
and Michael Stahl
from the Mental Hygiene Project.